Hey y'all, welcome back or welcome to my channel, Cozy Crochet Corner. It's the new year, 2024, and I'm really excited this year to really increase my shop and see if I can really produce more videos on YouTube as well as more content on my social media like my Instagram and TikTok, which I'll put right here. I'm so happy to say I've reached 100 subscribers. I'm so excited and I'm so thankful for everyone who subscribed or liked my video or left a comment. I read all the comments and there were so many sweet comments that were said to me, and I tried to reply or at least like every single one of them. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do those things, and I really appreciate it and it means a lot to me. I will become more consistent. I know I took kind of a winter break from Christmas to now 2024, but I promise I'm going to do better on producing more content both on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube. But thank you again so much. In today's video, I kind of want to do a crochet questions for beginners. Questions that I had myself as a crochet beginner. So I thought, why not make a video and answer all the questions in case you might have these same questions or you're just curious and would like to know. So keep watching. Oh, also forgot to mention, during the questions here, I'm going to be crocheting at the same time. I have this nice like velvet-like yarn. I don't know if you can see here. I'm making a bunch of hearts because although it's January, I have to start market prepping now for February. I know especially during Valentine's being a holiday that a lot of people are gonna want to get something for significant others. Girls love stuffed animals. Oh, I love stuffed animals. I know I would want a stuffed animal. So I'm also making a lot of hearts because people like little plushy hearts that they can hold too. So I'm gonna make that while I'm answering questions too. I guess is multitasking, but to keep myself focused. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is get the supplies first to start crocheting in the first place. I guess here as an example, a hook, which you can get any size hook you want. This one in particular is size 5mm hook. Also, it is the letter H. I don't really know the letters yet in regards to sizes of hooks because it's not a great thing to say on a informational video. For the most part, they tell you in millimeters what size it is. You just have to really look for it. So I would just get one hook or maybe two. They're really cheap. They're not expensive. They're anywhere from $1, maybe a few more, depends on the handle of it. Is it flat or is it just one of the metal ones? Next thing you're gonna wanna get is yarn. So the yarn you want really depends on what you're trying to make. If you're trying to make plushy animals, things you're gonna want like bigger size, you'll probably want something that's like softer yarn, bulky yarn, something that's like, I guess the yarn that I'm using right now to create the hearts. If you want something more durable, for instance, where you don't mind this thing getting thrown around, not to say like you can throw these things around, but still it's a different thing compared to acrylic yarn. That's the yarn you want for more tougher things, as well as if you don't want to make characters huge and use bigger yarn, you can use acrylic yarn because it's smaller and a lot thinner to use. Another thing is a yarn needle. For some projects you don't technically need it, but in all honesty it makes it so much easier to have a yarn needle. I'm not the thin yarn needles that are like pencil needle thin where you gotta like weave a tiny little piece in. This is not gonna fit in one of those tiny thread needles. You need like a yarn needle. And a yarn needle, for instance, is something like this. Ooh, old days here. It's big enough to fit bigger yarn into. That helps you close all the things that you're making at the end, as well as sewing on the other things. And then scissors, which duh, you can get scissors from anywhere, or if not, where you currently are at. I made a video about to go buy a 20-pound box of polyfill from joiintzz. Shout out joiintzz. It costs normally $100, but it was on discount for $75 for 20 pounds. And one of the bags is actually currently behind me. I had 2 bags of that, and I still haven't barely made a dent in one. And I've made a few things since I've gotten it, and it looks like I've made no progress whatsoever. And then the last thing you'll probably need is a stitch marker. This one is optional, but I lose count all the time. Anyone who knows me knows I'm like Dory, so half the time I'm counting. If someone is talking to me in mid-count, I will forget the number I was at. I'll say 14 what? I just finished 14, I'm about to start 14, I'm midway through 14, wait, what stitch did I just do? I can't remember all that. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's a lot to remember. So I use a stitch marker, so especially if you have to do something like 42 single crochets. I don't want to count 42 single crochets. I could just put a stitch marker. After you place the first stitch, you place the stitch marker on saying this is the first stitch, and go all the way around until you reach it, and then that's one full round. So then you don't have to count, and it's just a lot easier on your life. Another important thing I would say is learning the terminology or the lingo, whatever you want to call it. Most patterns don't fully spell it out. Like, they don't say 5 single crochet. They just say the number 5 and then SC, single crochet. Do a double crochet. It's just gonna be say DC, double crochet. There's so many abbreviations for everything because if they wrote everything out, it would take way too long of a page. Initially, you kind of have to look up like a vocab of what does this term mean, what does this term mean. You start doing whatever type of projects you're doing, whether that's blankets, scarves, beanies, or plushies of animals, or plants, or keychains, whatever, you start to see a very similar pattern with most of the things. So you start to learn what lingo is most important, or what terminology is used all the time. So because of that, then you kind of remember, okay, I know what everything means, and you can read whatever pattern, and as long as you can read the abbreviation and use it with the appropriate current stitch that you're trying to do, whatever pattern you read, you can create whatever the picture is supposed to look like. So I kind of went over this in the first question of what you buy, but in particular, if someone's saying, okay, but what particular brands do I buy? When it comes to crochet hooks, there's not really any brands. I mean, I use these two, which I guess are somewhat of the same brand, just because they both have like the rubber pieces, and then like I said here, like they have the numbers and millimeters, the letters associated with it. Currently, this is the hook I'm using, just another random one that has 5mm. So you can go anywhere from Michael's to Hobby Lobby to Joinnz, and if you're wondering what's the difference in all of them, I will do another video on that, so stay tuned. I usually get most of my stuff from Michael's, but there's a section where you can look for hooks, and it'll show you all types of hooks on a wall or in a packet. Depending on what you're going to work with will depend on what hook size you choose, as well as what yarn should you go for. The brands I've used for the most part when it comes to soft yarn, Loops and Thread is the brand itself, but then in particular do Sweet Snuggles. That's super soft. This one I see at Hobby Lobby a lot is Baby Bee. I got this for Christmas. Give me all the yarn you want. I still buy yarn all the time. Even though I have a full rack of yarn, I still want more yarn. You can't have enough yarn because you never know when you need yarn. I would say whatever brand works best for you, but I do Sweet Snuggles, I do Chanel, I've done Parfait Chunky, which is usually like Premier Yarn is the brand name. So there's all different types, but those are probably my favorite ones. Now, additionally, you might wonder, okay, I get a ball of yarn, what hook do I get with this ball of yarn? Like, I don't know what size hook it is. On the yarn themselves, what size yarn it is, as well as the hook. I'll show an example here. So with this loop and threads here, it says what the size is. This is the symbol that it looks like. So it'll have a number, I'm trying to make sure it doesn't glare. It'll have a number and size. So this one is size 6 super bulky, which is most of the size yarn that I use. I usually use size 6 yarn. Right next to it too, it shows the knitting ones as well as the crochet hook itself, the size, whatever size it recommends that yarn you use. For instance, this one is size 8mm hook. You want to use a hook that is smaller in size, so you might use a 6mm. That's going to create a tighter look, but that also changes the size of your item. Your hook size can change an item's size immensely. For instance, I'm doing a heart in a 5mm hook. If I was to do it with a 6mm hook, the 6mm hook one would be bigger in size. So whatever size millimeter hook it says, the lower the numbers, the smaller the objects are going to be, the bigger the ones, the bigger the objects are going to be. Pretty obvious linear relationship there. That's how you determine what size hook you get with a ball of yarn if you're just now starting out. top part is very different, I would say, for each person. It's kind of like learning to write. Everybody has a different way of holding the pencil. There's technically a right way to do it. It's essentially just finding what's most comfortable for you, which hand you're holding a hook with. I'm left-handed, so I hold it with my left hand, and then the yarn with my right hand. And you just kind of have to get used to just holding things. I just keep it like this through my fingers, so I just go under my pinky, over my ring finger, under my middle finger, over my index finger. This is really long, but I would just keep it right here, and then I lift my finger up to be able to go through a stitch and pull through. I would start with something like YouTube videos. There are YouTube video tutorials. If y'all really want me to do one, just leave in the comments or put down in the comments if that would be something you'd want to watch. I would watch YouTube videos. That's what I tried to do, was watch videos of how are you supposed to hold, according to these people, a hook and a yarn, and how do I create this while not dropping everything or everything being all over the place. Most YouTube tutorials, if you type in like a step-by-step, they will show you their hands while they're doing it, so they will go through each single motion. And that's another good way of learning how to do the stitches, is by watching a tutorial. Let's just say they go through a stitch and they'll go through it. I mean, I get to a point where I'll sit here and just do that. Now, for someone who's done it for a long time, that looks like a normal stitch, but for someone who's just then starting, you're like, I don't know what I just saw. Sometimes your fingers are in the way, I can't see anything. So another thing is, on those videos, go to the settings and put it on slow down, like 0.5 or 0.25 if you really want to go that slow, and then just practice over and over on a piece of yarn that you have from your new ball of yarn you bought. Also, I would just like to point out, my fiance got me this amazing Christmas gift. This thing here is called a moon pod. It's a moon pod chair. This thing is like a dense bean, you hear that? Dense bean bag. You can sit upright like this, or you can sit lean back or laid up against something, and it's super comfortable. Not sponsor, but would love for it to be a sponsor. I'm just saying this because it's a really nice chair. So if you'd like a really nice beanbag chair, a moon pod is the way to go. Highly recommend. I would say yes and no, but in regards to the yes side, you do have to learn how to use both your hands and not just one hand or the other. Your dominant hand will hold the crochet hook while your other hand will hold the yarn. So although your non-dominant hand is holding the yarn, you're not really doing something complicated, but just holding like your hand out kind of like this. Another hard part I would say is you have to practice. I do have it with me actually in there. I have my first item, which is actually a bee. I don't know why everyone's first choice bee. I guess because at that time bees were like buzzing. I kept practicing because I loved how it turned out the first time, and even if it wasn't perfect, I was like, I still made this thing. I wouldn't say it's hard to learn in regards to, I'm left-handed, and there is not a lot of left-handed videos showing you what to do. Anytime you have a pattern and it shows you pictures of here's what it should look like, it's always opposite of mine because I'm crocheting counterclockwise. Most people are right-handed crocheting clockwise. When they show progress pictures of where everybody's at, I'm on a different side because I'm using my left hand. So I guess it was a little hard for me to learn that, but I still learned that from just YouTube videos, Google, and looking up pictures. So I started off with a blanket, and I haven't made another blanket since then because it just took way too long. But if you've never made a blanket, it is a great project to practice your crocheting for the first time. Should I start crocheting? 100% yes. I can give you 3 good reasons why you should. Number 1, it's stress relieving and therapeutic. You don't really have to think about crocheting. You're just kind of like, you get into emotion. You can put whatever Netflix show or a TV show on in the background or a movie. But overall, that's a good number 1 seller. Number 2, you can literally make whatever you want. Oh my gosh, I really want a bear. Make a bear. oh my gosh, I really would love to have a crocheted Star Wars character. Make the Star Wars character. I made a little Grogu, that's why I say that. I want to make bees. Make some bees, which I have bees on my Etsy shop. As well as I'm making Valentine's bees. I'm gonna make pink and red ones with the wings. So really excited to see that one. That's coming up. Thirdly, you can make a profit sometimes. Now, I would not go into crochet to make a profit because you initially will not make a profit because you have to buy all the materials, all the yarn, all the filling, and you have to get people to want to buy it. First, obviously friends and family, but once you have people who you don't know are buying from you, you're like, oh, people like my stuff. It's just a bonus, but that's not the main thing. The main one for me is it's stress relieving as well as it's just enjoyable to do. I just like doing it when I'm bored or even when I'm not bored and I want to make something like, oh, what would be super cute? Let me look it up. Let me look up a pattern and make it. It's just fun to see when it's completed and done. You're like, ah. The overall answer, yes. Here is the final product of the little heart. So plushy and squishy and cute. This is thanks to y'all, all the love out. That's gonna be it for today's video, guys. If you have any additional questions that weren't answered this video or you want more clarification on something, just leave it down in the comments below and I will answer them. And thank you so much for watching. Once again, thank you. Love to all my subscribers who I now have. I'm so happy to say that I have subscribers now. That's so crazy to me to think like I have people literally subscribe to me. So this little heart is for y'all. Thank you. Much love with the two hands here. So follow me on my Instagram and TikTok as well as check out my Etsy shop and much love to everyone. If there's any video recommendations or anything you guys would want me to cover in a video later on, feel free to leave down the comments. Please leave a like and subscribe and thank you all, and of course, deuces. Make sure to check out my Instagram, follow me on Instagram here as well as my TikTok and Etsy shop, and feel free